Today, we enter the heart of what seems at first glance to be an ordinary farm, a place where rebellion begins, hope is born, and betrayal eventually takes root. We are talking about one of the most powerful political allegories ever written, Animal Farm by George Orwell. This short novel is so sharp and intense that it has remained relevant for decades. It stands as a fable about power, corruption, and the terrifying truth that ideals can turn into tyranny. So if you are ready to uncover the dark truth hidden inside the story of animals, make sure to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel for deeper explorations of classic literature. Now, it is time to begin our journey into the farm. Our story begins on a piece of land in the English countryside owned by Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones is not exactly an evil man, but he is incompetent and careless. He has fallen on hard times and has started drinking heavily. Because of this, he forgets his duties and leaves the animals without proper care. He represents the old, ineffective, and irresponsible ruling class. The animals on his farm live in conditions of suffering, slavery, and endless labor. From birth, they are forced to work until their bodies are no longer useful. After that, they are killed. This is the only life they know. But something is beginning to stir. The seeds of rebellion are soon planted by a wise and respected figure named Old Major. He is 12 years old, but he still looks majestic, and all the other animals regard him as wise and honorable. He represents revolutionary thinkers whose ideas laid the foundation for change, a figure who combines the philosophy of Karl Marx with the leadership qualities of Vladimir Lenin. One night, after the drunken Mr. Jones has fallen asleep, Old Major holds a secret meeting in the big barn. All the animals on the farm attend this gathering. As they come together to listen, we meet the other important characters in the story. There are the pigs, who are immediately recognized as the cleverest of the animals. Among them are two young boars, Snowball and Napoleon. Snowball is active, eloquent, and inventive, much like the revolutionary intellectual Leon Trotsky. Napoleon is a large, fierce-looking boar who does not speak much, but is known for always getting his own way. He represents Joseph Stalin. We also meet Squealer, another pig with very round cheeks, bright eyes, and an extraordinary gift for speaking. He can turn black into white, and he represents the power of propaganda. Then there is Boxer, the cart horse. He is an enormous animal, very tall and physically strong. Everyone respects him for his strength and his steady, reliable character, though he is not very intelligent. Boxer represents the devoted, hard-working proletarian working class, loyal to the revolution, but lacking the critical thinking needed to see when they are being manipulated. We also meet the donkey named Benjamin. He is the oldest and most bad-tempered animal on the farm. He is cynical and rarely speaks, but when he does speak, it is usually to make some grim remark. He sees what is happening, but he is too tired and too passive to intervene. He represents the skeptical intelligentsia, those who understand political manipulation but do nothing about it. And finally, there is Molly, the foolish and beautiful white mare. She is vain and materialistic, obsessed with sugar cubes and ribbons. She represents the bourgeoisie and the upper classes, those who are attached to the luxuries of the old regime and are unwilling to sacrifice anything for a new ideology. Once all the animals have gathered, Old Major delivers a powerful and emotional speech. He tells them that their lives are miserable, laborious, and short. They are born into slavery, forced to work just enough to survive, and then brutally killed. He asks a simple question: why do they continue living in this disgusting condition? It is not because the land is poor. No, it is because all the fruits of their labor are stolen by human beings. Man, Old Major declares, is the only real enemy we have. Remove man from the scene, and the root cause of hunger and overwork will disappear forever. He paints a clear picture of man as a parasitic creature, one who consumes without producing. Man forces the animals to work for the bare minimum needed to keep them from starving and keeps the rest for himself. Then Old Major shares a dream he had the night before, a dream of the earth without human beings. This dream reminds him of a song from his childhood, a song his mother used to sing called Beasts of England. He teaches the song to the animals gathered there. This song is a revolutionary anthem, a song of hope and resistance. It speaks of a bright future when animals will be free, when the fields of England will belong to them, and when human tyranny will be overthrown. The song is incredibly powerful and unifying. The animals learn it instantly and sing it with enormous passion. Their voices echo through the dark farm. The song is so loud that it wakes Mr. Jones, who fires his gun into the darkness. The meeting breaks apart, and the first chapter of their revolutionary journey comes to an end. 3 days later, Old Major dies peacefully in his sleep, but his ideas have taken root. The pigs, being the cleverest animals, take it upon themselves to organize the coming rebellion. Over the next 3 months, Napoleon, Snowball, and Squealer hold secret meetings, develop Old Major's teachings, and turn them into a complete system of thought, which they call animalism. At first, they have difficulty convincing the other animals. Some are apathetic, some remain loyal to Mr. Jones, and Molly worries about whether there will still be sugar and ribbons after the rebellion. But the rebellion itself comes unexpectedly, earlier than anyone expected, and with surprising ease. Mr. Jones loses control and neglects the farm for the entire weekend. He and his men do not feed the animals. By Sunday evening, the animals can no longer bear it. One of the cows breaks down the door of the store shed and all the animals begin eating the grain. When Mr. Jones and his men hear the noise, they rush out with whips and begin beating the animals. But this time, the hungry and furious animals turn on their tormentors. They attack the men, who are suddenly terrified by this united uprising. The animals gore them and kick them and butt them. The humans are completely overwhelmed. Within minutes, the animals drive the men off the farm. The rebellion has succeeded. The farm belongs to them. The animals are ecstatic. They can hardly believe their victory. They inspect the grounds to make sure no humans are hiding anywhere. Then they return to the farm buildings to destroy the last traces of Jones' hated rule. They open the harness room. Bits, nose rings, dog chains, cruel knives, everything is thrown down the well. The whips are thrown into a celebratory bonfire. Napoleon also distributes 2 rations of corn to everyone. Then they sing Beasts of England 7 times in a row and go to sleep as they have never slept before. The next morning, they explore the farmhouse and discover the unimaginable luxury inside. Beds with feather mattresses, mirrors, a horsehair sofa, carpets. They unanimously decide that the farmhouse should be preserved as a museum and that no animal should ever live there. Only now do the pigs reveal that over the past 3 months, they have taught themselves to read and write from an old spelling book. Snowball climbs a ladder and, using a pot of white paint, paints over the name Manor Farm on the gate and replaces it with Animal Farm. This act establishes their new identity. Then they return to the barn, where they reveal the basic principles of their new society. They have reduced the principles of animalism to 7 commandments. These commandments are to be written on the great wall of the barn, and all the animals on the farm are to live by them forever. The commandments are: whatever goes upon 2 legs is an enemy. Whatever goes upon 4 legs or has wings is a friend. No animal shall wear clothes. No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. No animal shall kill any other animal. All animals are equal. These 7 principles represent the pure utopian ideals of the revolution. They are simple, clear, and just. And yet, even in this moment of victory, a dark sign appears. The cows have not been milked and their udders are full. The pigs manage to milk them and receive 5 buckets of frothy, creamy milk. Napoleon announces that he will take care of the milk. When the animals return later, they notice that the milk has disappeared. This is the first sign of the pigs' corruption, the first crack in the foundation of the equal society they've created. Despite this, the early days of Animal Farm are a great success. The animals work together with purpose and dignity. The harvest is the largest the farm has ever seen. Boxer the horse inspires admiration. He works tirelessly, and his personal motto becomes, "I will work harder." A feeling of pride spreads across the farm. There is no work on Sundays. The animals raise their flag, a green cloth marked with a hoof and horn representing the green fields of England and the future republic of the animals. After raising the flag, they hold a meeting where the work plans for the coming week are discussed and resolutions are debated. These debates are always led by Snowball and Napoleon, who never agree with each other. The pigs set up their headquarters in the harness room, where they study different crafts from books found in the farmhouse. Snowball is busy organizing the other animals into what he calls animal committees, such as the Egg Production Committee and the Wild Comrades Re-Education Committee. Most of these projects fail. However, Snowball's greatest ambition is to begin building a windmill. He has read about machinery in Mr. Jones's books and has developed a complicated plan for a windmill that will generate electricity for the farm. He says that electricity will power machines that will do their work for them. They will only have to work 3 days a week. The windmill symbolizes industrialization, progress, and the promise of a utopian future. Napoleon, on the other hand, shows no interest in Snowball's committees. He argues that educating the young is more important than anything that can be done for those who are already adults. When 2 dogs, Jessie and Bluebell, give birth to 9 strong puppies, Napoleon takes them away from their mothers. He says that he will personally be responsible for raising and educating them. The puppies are moved to a secluded loft, and the farm soon forgets that they exist. This is Napoleon's own secret project, and it is far more strategic than Snowball's windmill. The power struggle between Snowball and Napoleon intensifies. They oppose each other on every issue. The fiercest dispute is over the windmill. Napoleon argues that, at this moment, the most important thing is to increase food production, and that if they waste time on the windmill, everyone will starve. The conflict is temporarily interrupted by the return of Mr. Jones. Together with his men and people from neighboring farms, he tries to take back the farm. But Snowball, who has studied an old book about Julius Caesar's campaigns, is ready. He has developed brilliant defensive tactics. The animals fight bravely, and Snowball himself attacks Jones. Boxer uses his enormous strength and strikes a stable boy with his hooves. The humans are defeated once again and driven from the farm. This battle becomes known as the Battle of the Cowshed, and it becomes a key event in the history of the farm. Snowball and Boxer are awarded medals, but soon the debate over the windmill resumes between Napoleon and Snowball. At the Sunday meeting, where the animals are supposed to vote on the windmill, Snowball gives a passionate and eloquent speech, painting a glorious picture of Animal Farm filled with electricity and modern comforts. Napoleon responds with a short, dismissive speech. Then, just as the animals seem ready to vote for Snowball, Napoleon lets out a loud cry. At this signal, 9 enormous and ferocious dogs burst into the barn. These are the puppies Napoleon raised in secret. They charge straight at Snowball. Snowball leaps from his place just in time and runs for his life. After a dramatic chase, he is driven off the farm. He escapes through a hole in the hedge and disappears forever. Napoleon, now accompanied by his new guards, immediately announces that there will be no more voting because it is a waste of time. From now on, all questions concerning the running of the farm will be settled by a special committee of pigs, which he himself will lead. The animals are troubled, but they are also terrified by the barking, aggressive dogs. Squealer is sent to explain the new arrangement. He tells the animals that Napoleon has taken on the burden of leadership for their own good. He claims that Snowball was no better than a criminal, and that loyalty and obedience are more important than courage. He ends his speech with the question that becomes his favorite rhetorical weapon. Surely, comrades, you do not want Jones back. The animals, who feared the return of Jones more than anything, accept the new order. After much thought, Boxer says, Napoleon is always right. 3 weeks later, Napoleon announces that the windmill must be built. Squealer explains that the idea actually belonged to Napoleon all along, and that Snowball stole it from him. According to Squealer, Napoleon's opposition to the windmill was only a tactic to get rid of Snowball, who was a dangerous character. This is the first major rewriting of history. The animals are too confused and too frightened to question it. Life on the farm becomes much harder. The animals now work 60 hours a week, and Napoleon announces that they will also work on Sunday afternoons. The work is exhausting, especially the quarrying of stone for the windmill. Boxer is the driving force behind the project, working longer and harder than anyone else. The farm needs paraffin oil and iron, and in order to obtain them, Napoleon announces a new policy. Animal Farm will begin trading with neighboring farms owned by humans. The animals are uneasy. They remember resolutions against trade and the use of money, but Squealer assures them that no such resolutions ever existed. Napoleon hires a human solicitor, Mr. Whymper, to act as an intermediary. Around this time, the pigs move into the farmhouse and begin sleeping in beds. This is an obvious violation of one of the 7 commandments. But when Clover asks Muriel, who can read a little, to read the 4th commandment, they discover that it now says, "No animal shall sleep in a bed with sheets." The pigs have secretly changed it. Squealer justifies this by saying that a bed is merely a place to sleep, and that the pigs need proper rest in order to carry out their mental work. By autumn, the windmill is half finished, but one night a violent storm strikes the farm. In the morning, the animals discover that the windmill has been reduced to ruins. Napoleon inspects the wreckage and, in fury, pronounces a death sentence. He declares that this was the work of their enemy and traitor, Snowball, who must have crept onto the farm under cover of darkness to destroy their labor. Snowball becomes the official scapegoat for every misfortune that happens on the farm. The rebuilding of the windmill begins in winter. The animals are cold and hungry. In January, food begins to run short. Napoleon hides this from the outside world. Then he announces that he must sell the hens' eggs. The hens fiercely protest. They fly up to the rafters and smash their eggs on the floor. Napoleon acts quickly and ruthlessly. He orders that the hens' food be completely stopped and decrees that any animal who gives even a single grain of corn to a hen will be punished by death. After 5 days, 9 hens die of starvation and the protest ends. A few months later, Napoleon stages a terrible purge. He orders his dogs to seize 4 young pigs who had dared to ask questions. They confessed that they had been secretly involved with Snowball. To frighten all the other animals, the dogs tear out their throats. Then other animals come forward and confess to various invented crimes, stealing corn, urinating in the drinking water, and plotting to murder Napoleon. All of them are killed on the spot. The pile of bodies grows, and the air is heavy with the smell of blood. This is the first time since Jones was driven out that an animal has killed another animal. The original dream of peaceful and equal brotherhood is destroyed forever. The commandment, "No animal shall kill any other animal," has clearly been broken. Later, when the animals read the commandment again, they find that it has been changed. It now says, "No animal shall kill any other animal without cause." Then Napoleon abolishes the song "Beasts of England." He declares that the song of rebellion is no longer necessary because the better society it foretold has already been established. It is replaced by a new song written by Minimus, the poet pig, which begins, Animal Farm, never through me shall you come to harm." This is no longer a song about dreaming of a better future. It is a song of loyalty to the state. Napoleon becomes more and more isolated and dictatorial. He is now referred to in a formal style as our leader, Comrade Napoleon. He is rarely seen in public, and whenever he does appear, he is always accompanied by his dogs. Propaganda flourishes. Squealer constantly gives statistics claiming that food production has increased by hundreds of %. The history of the Battle of the Cowshed is completely rewritten. Snowball is now portrayed as a coward who fled, while Napoleon is presented as the true hero of the battle. Napoleon begins complicated negotiations with 2 neighboring farmers, Mr. Frederick and Mr. Pilkington. Mr. Frederick is a harsh and cunning man who runs a well-kept but smaller farm called Pinchfield. He represents Hitler's Germany. Mr. Pilkington is an easygoing gentleman farmer who runs a large, neglected farm called Foxwood. He represents the Western Allies, especially Britain. Napoleon eventually sells a pile of timber to Mr. Frederick, but Frederick pays him with forged banknotes. The next morning, Frederick and his men attack Animal Farm. They have guns and the animals are forced to retreat. The men place dynamite at the base of the now completed windmill and blow it to pieces. The enraged animals counterattack with desperate courage and manage to drive the humans off the farm, but they suffer heavy losses. Many are killed and almost everyone is physically injured. Boxer fights with incredible bravery. The pigs declare the Battle of the Windmill a great victory, but as the other animals look at the dead and at the destroyed windmill, they cannot see it that way. After the battle, the pigs discover a case of whiskey in the farmhouse cellar. That night, loud singing and the sounds of violent quarrels come from the house. The next morning, Squealer announces that Comrade Napoleon is dying. In reality, he is simply hungover. The pigs then begin studying the arts of brewing and distilling. The commandment, "No animal shall drink alcohol," is changed to "No animal shall drink alcohol to excess." Boxer is growing weaker, but he continues working on the reconstruction of the windmill, driven by his two mottos, "I will work harder," and "Napoleon is always right." But one day his lungs fail him and he collapses. Squealer announces that out of his great kindness, Napoleon has arranged for Boxer to be taken to a veterinary hospital in the nearby town of Willingdon. When the van arrives to take Boxer away, the animals gather to say goodbye. But Benjamin, the cynical old donkey, suddenly panics. He has read the writing on the van. It does not say veterinary surgeon. It says Alfred Simmons, horse slaughterer and glue boiler, dealer in hides and bone meal. The animals scream in horror, but it is already too late. They see Boxer's face in the small window at the back of the van and hear the weak sound of his hoofs. They try to save him, but he is too weak. The van drives away, and Boxer's never seen again. This is the final betrayal. The pigs have sold their most loyal and hard-working follower to the knacker, so they can buy themselves another case of whiskey. 3 days later, Squealer gives a brilliant and emotional speech in which he invents a story about Boxer's heroic death in the hospital. He claims that Boxer's final words were in praise of Comrade Napoleon. He dismisses the rumors about the slaughterer's van as evil lies, explaining everything by saying that the veterinarian had simply bought the van from the knacker and had not yet painted over the old name. Years pass. Many of the animals who remembered the time before the rebellion are now dead. The farm is prosperous and better organized. The windmill is finally completed, but it is not used to generate electricity for the stalls. It is used for grinding corn, which is sold for profit. The farm has become richer, but only for the pigs and the dogs. The other animals still work hard and live modestly. Squealer continues to quote figures proving that their lives are better in every way than they were under Jones. But for the animals, this does not truly feel true. One day, something extraordinary happens. Squealer is seen walking on his hind legs. Then a long line of pigs comes out of the farmhouse, also walking on their hind legs. Finally, Napoleon himself appears, majestically carrying a whip. The animals are stunned and terrified. Just when they might have protested, the sheep, whom Squealer has secretly taught a new slogan, begin bleating loudly, "4 legs good, 2 legs better." The animals ask Benjamin to read the 7 commandments on the barn wall. But now only one commandment remains. All the others have been erased. The single remaining commandment reads, "All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others." After this, the pigs begin carrying whips, using the telephone, and subscribing to newspapers. They wear the clothes of Mr. and Mrs. Jones. At the end of the book, one terrifying scene is described. The pigs invite a delegation of human farmers from neighboring farms to dinner inside the farmhouse. The other animals watch the gathering through the dining room window. They see pigs and humans sitting around the table, laughing and drinking alcohol. Mr. Pilkington gives a speech praising the pigs for the discipline and order of their farm. He remarks that on Animal Farm, the lower animals work harder and receive less food than any animals in the county. He and the other humans, he says, intend to introduce the same practices on their own farms. The celebration continues with a card game, but suddenly angry voices are heard. Napoleon and Mr. Pilkington have both played the ace of spades at the same time. A violent quarrel begins. The frightened animals look in from outside. Then something strange catches their eyes. As they look from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again, it becomes impossible to say which is which. The pigs have become indistinguishable from the human oppressors they once overthrew. The revolution has ended not in a worker's paradise, but in a new and even more ruthless form of tyranny. Animal Farm is a powerful and timeless allegory. It is a story about how a revolution born from the highest ideals of freedom and equality can be corrupted from within. It shows how language can be used as a weapon of control, how history can be rewritten to serve power, and how a passive and uneducated population can be drawn into oppression.
Orwell's fable is a warning against the seductive nature of totalitarianism. It reminds us that the struggle for justice and truth requires constant vigilance, courage, and a refusal to believe that some are more equal than others. What do you think about this powerful story? Let us know in the comments. I hope this video was valuable for you. If it was, please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for in-depth analyses of great books.